actually, Randi's technology is really interesting as well. So I'm going to invite Randi to come to the stage, and when we can have our conversation. Good to see you.
Hi, Rachel. I
Oh,
don't know how I'm going to follow that.
just a small job.
Yeah.
No, but your innovation is really interesting. You're covering many bases, you
Yeah.
know, and so there's nothing to worry about at all. Oh, so Randi, you are a co-founder
Mm-hmm.
of Turing House Ultier, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we met when I started the incubator, and you came along as a collaborator.
Yeah. It was during the pandemic, right?
During the pandemic.
Yeah.
It feels like a very long time ago now, right?
Yeah, I know.
And
It's
we've
like a
had,
lifetime ago.
it really does. And yeah, we've had some really great sort of, especially recently, collective experience and collective intelligence gathering
Yeah.
for especially for our natural dyes research. So I'd like to acknowledge you for sort of always being a part of the incubator,
Yeah,
uh,
my
and
pleasure.
and always coming together, because yeah, that's the true thing throughout this whole summit. I don't know whether you were watching some of it.
Mm-hmm.
The collaborative element has come up
Yeah,
literally in every conversation.
for sure.
So yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and what you're focused on, and then we'll get into a conversation for half an hour. And it's
Okay.
great to have you.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, just to give you a little background about me. So I've been working in the fashion industry for more years than you can count on your fingers and toes, mostly on the design and product development side, working for many different companies from large corporate enterprises to smaller family-run businesses. And I got very frustrated with the industry, really for two main reasons. One was every season we had to come up with a new collection. And that collection was never that different from the season before. And so that always, to me, was very frustrating because it always created so much waste. And there was no purpose to it. And the second thing was that the industry likes to box you in. They like you to be either all design or all marketing or all production. And the truth is, I enjoy the full big picture of a brand and building something from concept to completion and everything in between. And so when I went on my own and I established Randi Seiff Design, it allowed me to work with brands in that more cohesive way and from concept to completion and like streamlining a cohesive brand experience. So making sure the branding and the design and the marketing all seamlessly connect and always connecting purpose to the brand, whatever is important to that brand. And one of my personal passion pillars is to connect sustainability at every touch point. And that goes from the design to the supply chain to sales and marketing. And so it's like my entire career has sort of set me up to where I am now, which is helping to build Troon.
Oh, absolutely. And you were telling me a little bit about when you started. It was in your father's business, correct?
Well, my father was in the business, but I
Yeah.
wasn't in that business. No, yeah, my family business was like a women's lingerie company, and so that started with my grandfather, and then my cousins and my uncles and my dad, and it was a real family business, not necessarily just one company, but it was I guess it's been a part of my whole life, I suppose. But
Yeah,
I used to work
literally.
there summers when I was younger.
And your business at the moment is about like reducing overproduction, right?
Yeah,
Like really following a made to order, even to the measure of size. So you can actually
sure.
um, let the customer put in their size, and you can give them the exact size
Yeah.
measurements that
Yeah.
they need. Yes.
I mean, we like to say a troon. We call it troon for short. Troon is a Scottish Gaelic word, actually, that means strength and courage, mighty. So we like to say that we sit at that intersection of sustainability, fashion, technology, and philanthropy. And it's all of these pillars that sort of thread together that create the whole of who we are. So we are reducing overproduction and waste and returns, and it's our technology that's facilitating the entire business model, allowing us to do that. So our business model is made to measure and on demand right from your phone. So it's we make everything casual, everyday essentials in the customer's own body measurements right from their phone, plus customizable design options. They'll see a 3D simulation of it right there on their phone. This all happens in less than a minute. And then it sort of travels through our digital ecosystem, if you will, where it lands at the factory and it gets made and shipped within 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So
Amazing.
that is essentially the technology facilitating that.
Oh wow, it's amazing. And how did you get into starting that? You know,
Well, it's about solving a problem, right? So one of the biggest problems in the current fashion system today, which is broken, is that there's over 150 billion ready-to-wear garments made a year. And that is not okay when you consider that only 25% of that sells at full price, 45% sells on sale, and 30% goes completely unsold. So with on-demand production, we're only producing what we sell, and therefore we eliminated dead stock and we eliminated sales, and there's no waste there. So from an economic perspective, this means brands could currently make 75% less, right? Since sales and dead stock only destroys the value for a brand. Not to mention that 30% of that unsold most likely ends up in a landfill. And I think I've heard a statistic that is something costs the industry something like $400 billion a year.
I was going to say, because you're getting more sell through from the specific focused
for
garments. Sure. Yes.
So on demand manufacturing, it's not only better for the environment, but it's better profit in the bigger picture. And our on-demand manufacturing technology is fully automated and scalable. And the other side of this, the other problem that we're solving has to do with returns. And we're starting with e-commerce. So 30% of all e-commerce orders get returned, and 70% of those returns are due to fit. So this shouldn't really be surprising when you consider we're trying to fit like 8 billion people into 5 standard sizes, right? Yeah. So with our made to measure software, each order is made in the customer's own body measurements, which drastically reduces the returns. And we have a 94% accuracy with the technology. And the other great thing about this is it serves a much larger customer pool. Since we're not making any sizes, I like to say we make it in size U, because we're making in your own body measurements. We literally make for any body in any size. So it just feeds right into a much larger customer pool.
Absolutely, and not to mention sort of the amount of clothes that just sit in people's wardrobes because they don't fit as well, right? So right. Actually, to actually use the entirety of your wardrobe would be a boon too. So as well as this, you're creating with loads of innovative fabrications, right, and connections.
Yes.
And again, collaboration will come into the conversation, I'm sure, and partnerships. And could you tell us about all of these different innovators that you're using?
Sure. So this is kind of my personal favorite sandbox to play in. And this speaks to the sustainability pillar that I mentioned earlier. we treat the planet as a stakeholder, really, and we develop all of our own proprietary materials and fabrics and packaging with circularity as a key driver in the design process. And at launch, we'll debut two of our proprietary developments. The first one is what we call our legacy cloth collection. This took 2 years to develop this yarn. Starting from the fiber, we partnered with our cashmere mill. They are a great example of collaborating with like-minded organizations that share the same values that you do. They sit on a lock that regenerates the water as they spin the yarn during the whole spinning process. They're also on a nature reserve. It's just like a beautiful story. And then we blend that cashmere together with another fiber, which I won't tell you our secret sauce right now because we haven't launched it yet, but we then send that yarn to Italy, where we partnered with our mill there, and we knit this into 3 spectacular fabrics. And I have to say, the fabric came out amazing. Like I said, 2 years to develop it, but it's like nothing I've ever felt before, and it feels like kittens against your face.
Amazing.
And then the second development in yarn is for our unisex signature capsule. And this we call Project Halo. And Project Halo is part of a broader initiative highlighting our path to a circular future with multi stakeholders in the industry. So a halo, by definition, is a circle of light, right? And so our halo shines to redefine luxury fashion and how we can be that catalyst for change. And collaborating with these other industry stakeholders, we're showing how together we can be that catalyst for change by turning problems into solutions with opportunities for collaboration. There's that collaboration again. And so we're innovating at every touch point here. So what I mean by that is starting with the yarn. We're using a next gen yarn, which happens to be circulose, blending that with another fiber that is renewable. And we're knitting that with our partner fabric knitting mill. And then for color black, we're going to partner with Nature Coatings for a dye made from wood waste. And then we're using a special sewing thread with another stakeholder, Coats, and they have a special thread that's meant for disassembly. So that's going to sew the garments together. And then we've created special packaging for this that the customer will receive their garments in, and all will be new to the market and revealed at our launch. But it's really exciting stuff and breakthrough technologies. The packaging is made with seaweed, which we can get into a little bit more when we talk about the packaging, but that's super exciting. And then the other thing that we're doing is digital IDs will be inside every product for that customer engagement and storytelling of that product's journey from farm to fiber to fashion, transparency about our supply chain, how to care for the garment, and also a path of what they can do with the garment after they've finished with it. And so we're partnering with a sustainability intelligence platform that gives insights and marketing with impact visuals to the customer right on their phone from the QR code inside the product. And it will also be on the product page of the website. But things like carbon emissions and water usage and energy savings and all these impacts will be shown to the customer. So it really kind of shows that we're walking the talk, and then also we'll be in compliance with all the new upcoming regulations.
I love that. And you have a shoe, right? That can be crunched up and get back into the yeah.
We will be launching a luxury sneaker line using Ecotan leather. And Ecotan is a breakthrough technology. I believe it started during the pandemic also. So I think we're all fairly new.
Yes.
And Ecotan is a biocircular leather. That's what it does, is it creates a biocircular leather. So it's real leather, but the technology allows the leather is tanned with plant tannins, which are naturally produced from plants, and it's metal free. And at the end of the product's life, it can be shredded, which is what you were alluding to, and it turns into a real organic fertilizer that you can plant into the soil, which makes the soil healthy again because it's getting back carbon and the same nutrients that it had when it was extracted from the plant in the first place, the tannins. So it's truly biocircular in that way. It's pretty remarkable.
Absolutely love it. Like, it really just thinks like you've thought of every single possible scenario for every single part of it, and the business model, and now right down to the way it's packaged. Right, it feels like you're like, yes, I've got it all there.
It is that we do like to innovate at every touch point.
Yeah, it's just like, what can we do here? But this is the joy of being a startup, that you're not
Right.
having to iterate from an old source, that you're innovating from the ground up. So I mean, I think that's also a key thing throughout this summit has been that it is sort of it not easier, because I'm not saying it's easy at all, any of this, but you're you're starting from a blank canvas, as
Yeah.
opposed to having to try and bend things into circles, which is more difficult, as we know, and impossible. So
Sure.
with your packaging, could you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's really innovative as well, and we really have to think about not only the product but the way it's sent out. Yes.
Sure. So for the packaging, and I have to say that relationships are everything, not just for packaging, but this goes for everything that we're doing. Like you say, we are innovating at every touch point, but it's all due to these relationships that we have that are so deep rooted and believe in what we're doing and allow us to keep developing. And so when you have these relationships, you can form these amazing collaborations with like-minded organizations that share the same values that you do. And it leads you down a path where you eventually find your way. And even if you don't know what you're doing at all. And so I like to read about what the latest innovations are in the market. And so I reach out to the companies, and sometimes you bond and it just works. And there's so much innovation going on right now that it's really an exciting time for all these different kinds of materials and all of these startups that are finding new ways to work towards circularity. And so one day I was reading about a luxury watch company, and I read that they had made a box for their watches out of seaweed. And so I reached out to the company that was making the box. And lo and behold, I found out that they have other things made with seaweed too. And one thing they were making was paper. And it happens to be an extraordinary paper made with seaweed and plants, and it's got a beautiful hand feel. And so we started using this for our paper packaging. First, we developed our hang tags with this, and then it's led to other things too, like part of our Project Halo concept that I mentioned earlier. We're creating its own special package using this paper also. And they also have a rigid material made out of seaweed. And so we're creating our own design for a special box for one of our products. That's really cool. And seaweed is just an amazing, it's one of nature's greatest resources against climate change. And it reduces ocean acidification. It effectively absorbs carbon. It's naturally biodegradable. It just is an amazing natural resource. So it's so amazing to be able to be using it and putting it to purpose. And then another thing we're doing is also starting from the point of having to educate. We want to educate the customer, because at the end of the day, we are marketing towards the customer, and having them be part of the process is important to engage with them and get them to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And so giving the customer something to reuse and repurpose, sort of like a gift, it adds more value to their purchase. It gets them excited when they receive it. And so we developed a special package that our customers will receive their e-commerce products in, which is made out of recycled textiles and plastic bottles, and it uses no dyes. And so we're really excited about that innovation. another thing that we're doing is the seaweed, which I alluded to before. And there is a new seaweed technology that is now a film, which we're using to replace poly bags, which is, I think, phenomenal. And Sway, who's the company that has created this technology. So there's something like 5 trillion plastic bags, pouches, and wrappers made every single year.
5
5 trillion.
trillion a year.
And that's 160,000 plastic bags per second.
Oh,
It's like
160,000
mind-boggling.
per
And
second.
it's crazy. And, I've heard before that by 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Like, just hearing things like this, it just makes you want to not contribute more to that and find solutions to walk away from that. And I feel at Troon, I'm really proud that's what we're doing. And that's why we have these innovative touch points. We just look at every way we can to contribute to not doing that.
100%. We do not want to create that many plastic poly bags. And that's only plastic poly bags. You can imagine the plethora of things that are out there, just like crazy.
It's really crazy.
Absolutely. And it's difficult, the innovation at this state of this space, right? And we've touched on this before, right? Like partnering up with these innovators. It helps you, but it also helps them to be able to showcase what it is they're doing. And how have you gone about creating them? You just like got on the phone and said, "Can we collaborate with you? Can we partner with you?"
Well, it's sort of like what I mentioned before. It's just I just reach out to certain companies that I feel like I want to partner with, that we should be partnering with. It is literally that. It's human to human is the relationship. And it definitely makes things more interesting. And, I think today there really are no rules because we're sort of playing in this new field, this new landscape that we're playing around now in is new. And so creativity really becomes important here. And the creative process is exactly the same. Doesn't matter what you're doing. I learned this a long time ago. A while back, I was doing some work for some high-end hotels in Las Vegas, and I learned that the creative process is exactly the same, whether you're designing a clothing collection for a fashion company or a line of cocktail accessories for a high-end hotel. The creative process is exactly the same, but it's important to use that design thinking and be strategy led. And then creativity always needs to be part of that picture. So I'll give you an example of how we're using creativity, because there is a solution to every problem. Part of our go-to-market strategy at Troon is our philanthropy through fashion mission. And we align with different foundations and charities on a quarterly basis, and we sponsor large-scale events and artist collaborations through the sale of our luxury collections. And we prioritize 4 planet impact areas for this. One is around soil and land. The second one is our oceans. The third one is wildlife. And the fourth is humanitarian. And so we've had a lot of brand collaborations, even though we haven't launched yet. We're launching this fall. But one of the collaborations that we did, I'll give you an example, is with an Australian film festival obviously out of Australia, called Wild Earth Oceania. And they're all about wildlife protection, climate action, and biodiversity loss. And so our resident artist, Kirill Jelyaskov, his name is, he's a world-renowned painter, amazing talent. He created 10 paintings, each one highlighting a specific species that was about to go extinct in Australia. And we provided Kirill with a sustainable fabric. It actually was made out of circulose. It was the circulose denim fabric to use that canvas for these paintings. So right there's a tie-in, right? And then we had a fashion capsule that connected to this. And it was a it was an on-demand 3D knit tee and hoodie, which came in 10 colors each, aligning with the same 10 paintings of the species. And then we took that same circulose fabric and created an interactive patch that went on the sleeves of the two garments. And it had a QR code on it. And that QR code the viewer could scan, and it takes them to our website where they could purchase the garments, learn about the collaboration and the 10 species about to go extinct, and support the Wild Earth Oceania. And so we're sort of carving our own path using creativity in that way.
I think we are in all of the aspects that we've seen today, and the people that we work with. It is about creativity and creating something completely new. And we love like new business models more than anything else. Like people doing really new stuff, like yourself. That really goes against the grain. Like, it's difficult to create this stuff. I know that you're like hyper excited about it. It's like, this is hard work, right? Even listening to you for the last 25 minutes, it's like, whoa, that's a lot to create there, Randi.
Yeah, it is. And it's and every time we think about it, we just knock ourselves on the head, like how did we do all this in just 3 years? It is pretty remarkable. But again, it goes back to those relationships, and that is, without that, this never could have happened.
Oh, absolutely. And how have you found it differs to sort of creating? You obviously created in the main system for many years. How have you found it that it differs? I mean, obviously you're building your own business, that differs just in itself, right? Even if you weren't creating all this.
But like I was saying, the creative process is the same, and the basic steps to get things made is the same. The tools are different that we have now, right? I mean, we used to do everything by hand. There was no computers even, right? When I first started.
Yeah, anyway. I was just at the start of computers. So we just had very big, massive computers that I spent most of my time underneath the desk, plugging in and out sockets and trying to make things work, and then spending ages putting things onto CDs so that I could free up space to actually do the work.
Oh, wow. No, I remember
very early days.
No, it's very different in the way that we work, but the overall arching steps of the process are still the same. I mean, you still need fabric, you still need a pattern, you still need it to fit, you still need marketing around that, you still have to deliver it. So all of those things are constants, and what changed is just how we go about doing it. But again, the basic premise is still the same. I heard a really funny story yesterday, if we have a moment.
Yes.
And this speaks to kind of fundamentally how we work or how we should be working. There was this man giving this talk on, it was about marketing, and forgive me, I don't know his name. I missed the beginning. So I don't know his name, but I do want to find it out. And he was telling this story, and he said he was about to go on stage and speak. And about 5 minutes before he had to go on stage, he went to the bathroom. Okay, that's like normal. But unfortunately for him, the water shot out of the sink and made like a big splashy mess all over his pants right before he was supposed to go on stage. And so he didn't know what he was going to do. And then all of a sudden he noticed that it was raining outside. And so he went and stood outside in the rain for like 2 minutes or something and got completely wet. And his problem was solved, right? So wet the dry patch instead of drying the wet patch, right? So it's like the opposite of a good idea could be a good idea. And to always think differently and expand your solution space. And kind of that was the moral of the story for me. It's like we're thinking differently, we're doing things differently, and it takes a different mindset.
It really does. And gosh, exactly. And that's kind of where we're going to leave it today as well, and move on to our next panel, our next speaker, who actually is in that space as well. I think everyone is in the innovation and creativity and thinking outside of the box massively space. So lovely to hear that story. You must find out who it is and let us know.
I will let you know for sure.
So thank you, Randi. Is there anything you want to leave everyone with? And obviously you can post your links and things in the chat as well. But when you come off, but
okay, I will do that. Yeah, please go to troonhouse.com. It's TREUN House, HOUSE. We will be launching this fall, but you can sign up for our newsletter right now and get on our list, and we'll keep you up to date with what's happening for our launch.
Absolutely. And we'll be sharing that out. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Randi. And yeah, we'll see you in the ecosystem.
I will see you there, Rachel. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.